satellites? A satellite represents a journey, information gathering, this journey around the Earth.
Welcome to Satellite Haiku. I'm Milo.
I'm Sean.
We were talking
about the World Cup
World
and
Cup,
Colombia, penalty kicks and other shenanigans. So what you're going to say about the theory about penalty? You had a theory, you said, about
okay, well,
penalty kicks?
I have a theory. I hope I didn't talk about it before. I'm getting into that late 50s where I start maybe tell a story more than once. I'm sure that happens.
Mm-hmm.
So my disclaimer is like, hopefully
I mean, there's a handful of stories that you've told repeatedly on the podcast, and same with me.
Yeah,
and
they sometimes
it's okay.
They're relevant, and if someone hasn't heard it, it's like long ago, they won't remember. But anyway, so
it just adds to our dad vibe.
There you go. This one, we don't wear dad jeans though. I refuse to do that.
No.
I remember. Do you rember when Obama wore dad jeans? It was the most horrifying.
Mom jeans.
Mom jeans. He wore mom jeans.
Yeah.
So here's my theory.
All right. So penalty kicks. Yeah.
So here's my theory, and I maybe referred to this when we were talking about. So you know how sports evolve, and for instance, I'm going to use two examples. Like in swimming, Olympic swimming, they had those really stiff suits that were like almost like plastic, like hard plastic,
like the full body lycra suit
but
thing,
it was so,
or like the almost full body thing.
The outer thing had like a shell that was kind of hard, like it had zero friction.
I never.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew it was. I mean, I remember hearing that. I didn't know what the texture was like, but yeah, I remember the friction thing. Yeah.
It was far less friction than if you were skinny dipping, right? So people were breaking world records left and right, and they eventually pulled it as a device because they cost like something like $3,000 or $5,000 or something, and had to be custom fitted.
So like countries that didn't have like the resources weren't able to equip their athletes with such
it just seems kind of dorky that like some like Botswana can have a swimming pool, but they can't have that dumb suit. I don't know.
Right.
So anyway, plus they just said it seems like you could eventually turn it into like a rocket.
It's such tricky territory because like there's technology throughout all of it, right? And so it's like you're picking the shoes that you wear for running. Yeah. Or whatever, but it's like it's hard to figure out where you draw the line. Like the suit crosses a line, and it's like it's sort of a case by case sort of panel of opinions sort of way that it gets decided. It seems like rather than there's certain specific parameters and criteria where it's like, like cost and whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
my argument was because we were on the swim team, right? You were on the swim team.
Yeah.
My theory was I could just put on I could climb into an aluminum tube with holes on the sides with my arms, and I would just be the most frictionless thing, and I would just win all the time, because it seems like, come on, man, like that's not even, that's sort of that's like the worst extreme.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, and I agree with that decision, but it is interesting to sort of like unpack it and figure out like when the next thing happens, like what's the actual criteria? It's just sort of like a bunch of people making a judgment call, like, that just seems over the line. And so like that, it's a consensus thing, not an objective.
Okay.
It's a consensus of opinions, but not an there's no objective criteria. Anyway.
I could list like things like Oscar Pistorius, with his carbon fiber blades. And then it's like, well, then I could cut off my legs and get blades. And if he's faster, it's hard to tell, right?
Totally.
So I get that it's an evolving process.
And we haven't even crossed into like what you might put into your body.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
So, and actually there was did you know at the back of Wired, there was a, I don't know if it's still there, but there was, for many, many years, there was one essay that was called Postcard from the Future. And it was this it was a team of people or one person who would just sort of kind of extrapolate, like almost like a sci-fi essay about, and so they said someday in the future, there will be an Olympics that's like anything goes. Like you can install a glycol pump.
Well, they just had the enhanced Olympics. Did you know that?
See, there you go. See there. So this was like 25 years ago. There
was somebody that finally realized there was a group of entrepreneurs or like investors, rich guys that had been pushing this enhanced Olympics thing for a long time and trying to get it off the ground. They finally had their enhanced Olympics this year.
How did it go? Did they break a lot of records?
It's worth a whole. I don't know. It's worth driving into. It looked silly. Okay. It was ridiculous. Yeah. Anyway, let's go back to the penalty kicks.
Okay. So let's go back to the penalty kicks because I have a lot of examples, but so here's my theory about penalty kicks.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife disagrees with me, and we could argue about, okay, so here's my thing is, where the ball is placed in penalty kicks,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked it up, but the average score is like 80 or 90%.
Yeah.
You're right. So, right. So really what happens is it puts all the pressure on the goalie. And then if the person, or like there was like in the Brazil World Cup,
once in a while somebody misses.
Yeah. Messi was like fifth and he kicked it over the goal into the stands. And people were like, what the fuck? Like you could roll it toward the goal and you'd be more likely to get it in. So it is like a little bit on the kicker, but a lot of pressure on the goalie because it's hard to stop the speed and the closeness of it.
Well, it's hard. Yeah, I mean, it's a chess match. You're diving in the wrong direction, right? Like there's like this thing. Anyway.
So I'm suggesting, it's like, and I have like a lot of little suggestions. Like in Spanish, the word for left is izquierda, right is derecha, and straight is derecho. And it sounds almost the same as derecha. And I'm like, duh, just make up a new word. Like make a different word for straight. Like that it's too hard to get it wrong. You know, if someone says derecha, derecho, like there's not enough variant. So my thought is if you move the goal back, maybe to the top of the arc. I mean, sorry, if you move the ball back, and you did like a test where you had every single player in the league take penalty shots, and you try to get it closer to 50-50. That's all I'm asking, is that it's more like 50-50 that the goalie can stop your ball. It makes it more interesting because otherwise it's like,
I kind of like how the NHL solved the problem of penalty shots.
How did they do that?
So, and I think they might have taken this to the Olympics as well. I can't remember, but there was, because the NHL used to go in the regular season. They used to go to penalty shots, and that was how they solved ties, right? The game would end in a tie.
And they put the puck on a certain spot and the person
I think the game would end in a tie. And I can't remember if they went right to penalty shots or if they had I think they had like a 5-minute overtime or a 10-minute, and then they went to penalty shots, right?
Okay. All right.
The way they changed it to in the NHL, because nobody liked a game being decided by penalty shots.
Yeah,
it just is unsatisfying.
Yeah.
It just feels like you say, it feels like a game of luck.
Yeah. And it's a completely
like you might as well
game.
Flip a coin and decide who wins.
Right.
Right.
Kind of, yeah.
Which it doesn't feel much more satisfying than a coin toss.
Right. Yeah.
And so what the NHL did was they went with a 3-on-3. So it just opens up the ice like crazy, and it creates all these offensive chances. And so
do they do time
and all these lopsided like 2-on-1 attacks and all that, right? And so they do that for 5 minutes.
For 5 minutes.
Usually a team scores during the 3-on-3. So like with soccer, you could take like a half field. You could do like a half field, like move the goals closer, and then have like a 3-on-3 or something like that, right?
Just to make it more interesting and faster and more likely. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you have actual play happening, but there is a much higher likelihood of a score happening,
right?
Of a goal happening,
right?
Because
what happens?
Because you just can't protect. You can't defend in that space. With that small number of players, you can't really defend that well. So you get plenty of openings, or you could even do it. You could even do like a 4-on-4 or a 3-on-3 with no goalie, no goalkeeper.
Yep.
And so it's like you have defenders that are trying to decide whether they're going to defend the goal or whether they're going to be part of the attack, and you have this constant sort of dynamic of the defenders trying to figure out like what their best strategy is to play defensively or to join the attack.
It would be kind of fun.
No goalkeeper.
And sort of the opposite of penalty kicks would be to do your thing, but have the goalies sit down on the bench and just have it be, you know what I mean? Because one of the complaints.
That's what I mean. Like if you did 4-on-4 with no goalkeeper.
Yeah, with no goalkeeper.
Yeah. And so then you have defenders that are basically in a position of deciding like, oh shit, do I defend? Do I hang back and so somebody doesn't just launch a ball at the goal?
Yeah.
Or do I, my team has the ball right now. Do I join the attack? Right. But if they turn it over, then there's nobody defending the goal. Right. And it's like kicked from long distance, goes right in, right? Like,
how would you prevent one player from pretending to be the goalie, like stepping into that role?
Well, they could. but they can't use their hands.
Oh, got it.
Right?
Okay,
so like they could hang back and be
wow, yeah, I see
kind of defending the goal.
They'd have to do headers and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and so they're hanging way back, but then, their team is not as advantageous as their attack has less people if they're doing that, right?
One thing I really like about that.
So I think that doing something like that would make it more satisfying.
One thing I really like about that solution, which is a lot more complicated than mine, which is simply moving the ball back to the box or the top of the arc and making it a longer kick,
Yeah.
But what's more interesting about it is it's still soccer.
Yeah.
And the score, one complaint people have who are like Americans and don't really play soccer is that the scores are too low. Like it's like 1-0 through, like there's never like 7, except for Germany beating Brazil in the final of the World Cup. But they beat them by 7 points.
That's another argument to just get rid of the offsides rule, right?
Yeah,
like you would have the
offsides rule.
I just think it's dumb.
Yeah, and I get
like it's badly designed. Like there should be an offsides rule, but the current offsides rule is badly designed.
And I think the laser thing made it worse because it's like his elbow. It's, you know what I mean? It can measure like parts of the body and it's like, oh, come on. And the other thing,
it just seems like during active play, I mean, I get the rationale that you don't want a player that's just hanging back, like an attacker that's just hanging there. Yeah. But like if your team has possession in the offensive side of the field and you're attacking, right? Like that's not really an issue.
Yeah, isn't it?
It's like it would be an issue if you were if the ball was on the defending side of the field and you had one of your attackers way, way up.
Isn't in hockey much more fair like that? Like they have that blue line, and once
it's just a blue line. If the puck goes in the blue line, if the person goes in the blue line, past the blue line before the puck, then it's offsides. If a player goes into the zone.
Here's why I love that much better than this offside rule. Because one reason that no one likes the offside rule is because the only person that can see if they're offsides is that lineman.
I will say this. I don't think that nobody likes the offsides rule. I think Americans hate the offsides rule because we don't watch soccer that much. Because if you go on like a Reddit thread and you complain about the offsides rule, what you get is this barrage of people defending the offsides rule.
Oh, really?
But their defense is what I just said. They were like, well, if you don't have it, then what you have is an attacker that just hangs way up by the opponent's goal. Well, it's like, okay, but that's not really an issue if everybody's on that half of the field already.
Hey,
you know what I mean? Like if you're attacking that goal already and all players on the field are in that half of the field, it's not really an issue if somebody's a little further ahead. If it's only an issue if the ball's on the defending side and you have balls on my side of the field and one of my attackers is way, way past the defense. And then my goalkeeper can just launch a huge bomb to that guy.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's offsides. But that would make sense as offsides.
Personally, I would love the hockey blue line so that everyone who's watching can see.
Exactly.
So it's not just some
have an actual line.
Yeah, so everyone can see that he stepped over it before the ball came. And
I think the other thing about soccer is that it's like, because it's such a pure, simple sport, with so few lines, so few rules, like they're like a little hesitant to make any changes to the game, right?
Yeah, I see that.
I don't know when the offsides rule was added, but like it seems like other sports are a little more willing to kind of like to play with things and tweak the rules. Like baseball's made so many changes in the last 5 years.
A lot of them to speed up the game and make it more interesting.
Speed up the game, yeah. There's
in basketball, isn't there the shot clock and the 3-point circle, the 3-point arc? Really, really enhanced the game. I think that was a great idea.
And baseball just added the ABS challenge for the strike zone. So they have the robot strike zone thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which they've been playing with for a long time. Like they had, everybody complains about umpires making mistakes watching the strike zone.
Yeah, it's really hard.
But the minor leagues kind of experimented by like, what if we just had like an automated flawless robot strike zone? Like then nobody can argue with whether it's a ball or a strike. The umpire's job behind the plate was literally just to say what the robot told them in their earpiece, strike, ball, whatever.
Yeah.
And that was the only thing they did. And the fans hated it.
Interesting.
And so when they brought it up because it's just like, Pablo Torre, a podcaster, like an ESPN guy, he put it really well. He's like, you want to have like somebody to yell at. Like when they took that away, like even though you don't like the feeling of being angry at the umpire, like when you took that away, it was just like, well, now I don't have an enemy. I don't have a villain, right?
Yeah.
And so baseball, MLB, when they brought it up to the major leagues, they made a really, really smart change. What they did was they have the robot strike zone that knows every pitch, whether it's a ball or a strike. Mm-hmm. But the umpire still calls all the balls and strikes, and each team gets 2 opportunities to challenge and be wrong.
Oh, that's cool.
So like they can challenge and be right as many times as they want. So if a pitch comes and the umpire says ball, and the batter thinks, or the pitcher thinks it was a strike, the pitcher or the catcher can tap their hat, and then it challenges it. If the call gets overturned, they keep their challenge, right? Like if they challenge it and they're right and the umpire was wrong, they keep their challenge and they still have 2 challenges, right? But if you use a challenge and you're wrong, then you only have 1 challenge left. If you use a second challenge and you're wrong. So teams have to use their challenges strategically.
Yeah. Is the only person
they can't overdo it. It was a really smart way to do it.
It's a super smart way. Is the only person who can see it is the umpire, the batter, and the catcher? Like no one else really has the angle, right, to see it?
To see,
if
you
it's
mean
a ball
in order to try and challenge it?
No, yeah, like if the only person, you said the catcher goes like this.
So the catcher and the pitcher on the defending team, like on the field team, can challenge,
the
right?
Pitcher,
and so they're going to challenge. They want them to be strikes, right?
Yeah.
And so like if something that they think is a strike is not called a strike, they're going to challenge. They want strikes. And then the batter can challenge if he thinks a strike was badly called and it was actually a ball, right?
Oh, interesting. So 3 people can challenge it, right? Yeah.
I mean, I think only those 3 can challenge. It would be unrealistic. Like I guess the second baseman can cut from, could see, or a runner on second base could kind of see, but like that seems a little weird.
The pitcher would be sort of in the way, I feel like, if from that angle. But anyway, that's fascinating. I love that they've added that. That's a cool way to integrate it, because
it was smart.
Then what it does is it puts a lot of pressure on both the umpire and the team to be very clear when they're going to challenge it. Like because they don't have as unlimited challenges, right? And if the umpire just keeps getting corrected, he just looks worse and worse, and then
right. Yeah. I had an idea, like my idea for fixing, like there were some umpires that were really notoriously bad. This guy, CB Buckner, another guy named Angel Hernandez, and they were just had a reputation for being really bad behind the plate umpires, calling balls and strikes really badly. And I had my idea was before, because I didn't like the idea of automated balls and strikes.
Sure.
Because I thought they were just going to replace the ump with a robot like they did in the minor league. So my idea was to have an incentive system, basically to have like after maybe every week, like the worst umpires of that week, the ones who made the most mistakes, like pay a fine essentially. Like out of their salary, a huge chunk of money gets taken. And the ones who made the best calls get that bonus.
Oh, wow. That's a great idea.
A bonus is redistributed from the worst ones to the best ones every week.
Talk about capitalist incentives. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was my idea.
You just pay people to be more accurate,
exactly.
That's great. So, I love it. It's brutal.
I thought that could be kind of funny too, because you could track that whole thing, like which umpires are like losing their money, and then they have an incentive to get better at it, right?
So here's one failing of any kind of technology. Like back, I think I mentioned this before, but remember in the Brazil Olympics, they had added one, they moved the decimal point over and they were giving the medals based on 1,000th of a second.
Yeah.
But then a physicist pointed out that it's almost impossible to build the pool perfectly square and for the wall to be perfectly flat that they're touching.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And when you jump in, the water actually is so heavy that when all the swimmers jump in, it sloshes forward and sloshes back, and it bends more in the middle than at the corners. So it gets longer in the middle by more than 1,000th of a second. So once they realized that, they had to get rid of that decimal point and go to tie. So you get 2 silver medals and no bronze. because it was like beyond the. Okay, so that's an interesting problem. The other one was Jude Bellingham.
Okay. On the England team.
Yeah, he looks like he was like is like an Egyptian god that was carved out of stone. You know.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm laughing only because I've been seeing these threads about like, for some reason, people hate Harry Kane.
Really?
Yeah, they're just like
a bunch of memes.
People are just like, he looks like a villain. Just there's something about him. He looks like he looks like the asshole in every teen movie, right? Or whatever.
Funny.
Like he just looks like the guy you don't want to root for. And then women are like, he just gives me the ick and I can't explain it or whatever, right?
He's the captain. He's the team captain.
But then a lot of people are like using Jude Bellingham as kind of his foil. Like, yeah, but like how like I'm so conflicted about England because I want to root for Bellingham, but I don't want to root for Kane or Anyway.
Okay, so in their loss to Argentina, I think that's the game. I think Jude, someone, maybe the goalie had kicked the ball and it hit the wire.
Yeah, that was the Norway. That was the Norway
game. Yeah.
Yeah, England, Norway. Yeah.
And so, and you saw the goalie was like immediately pointing up at it, right? So everyone in the stadium saw the drone.
Everybody knew it. Yeah.
And FIFA goes, our sensors did not detect that it touched the line. And it's like,
I know.
Fuck, dude. If you want to get like credibility, don't fucking lie to us. Like we all saw the drone move. So
they needed Trump to get on the phone for them.
I'm just saying, man. It's just that if FIFA.
No, I agree.
I think
that made me mad because I was rooting for Norway in that.
Yeah, match. Me too. I was totally rooting for Norway.
And they got screwed.
They totally got screwed. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that they got screwed on the penalty too. Like when they scored, but then their goal was recalled because Haaland knocked that guy over.
Yeah.
That guy was like being like basketball guard move, like he was planting his feet. Like he literally.
Yeah.
He planted his feet so that he would fall over.
Right.
So I felt like that was a little, like that was a little bit of a weak ass call too.
Was that the one where it was way down the field where it happened and the goal, they called it back? Like because there was one.
They called the goal back. It was a corner kick, I think.
Okay.
And I think it might have been, but anyway, the ball was, moving around in the offensive area quite a bit in the box. And then Holland, is that his name?
Holland.
He pushed that guy over. And then, so the goal was in, they celebrated, and then they looked at that on, video review, and they decided it was a foul and the goal didn't count.
Interesting.
Cause they're always jostling and pushing and pulling each other in that area, right?
In this England-Argentina game.
He pushed a guy and the guy fell over and they're like, foul.
In the England-Argentina game, the ref just wasn't calling anything. He was like, you guys are elites. You can do whatever the fuck you want. And there was a point where like Messi was mad at Jude Bellingham and he literally wrapped his arm around his rib cage and then just spun him over like a judo move over his back onto his face. And it was like, no call. Like no call at all. It was like, what the fuck was that, dude?
It's so weird. Yeah. All right. So since we're talking about, this is an interesting thing. I've been thinking about this week, and it connects, I think, to what we're talking about. It's just, we're talking about kind of technology in sports, right? Like the drone cables and the automatic balls and strikes, right? And
that's true.
All these things, the blades on Oscar Pistorius's legs, right? And the swimming, the pool, and whether you should go to the thousands. It makes me think about like the whole category of like the biohacking, body optimization, like the tracking stuff, like the Aura Ring and the Fitbits and the Apple Watch and the sleep score and the tracking your steps. And I don't know. We've talked about this a little bit before, but I've been thinking about it again this week. And there's just something that, I know why I'm thinking about it. I think it was Derek Thompson, one of the abundance guys. So he wrote a piece on his Substack, I think.
He and Ezra Klein, that guy?
Yeah. So Derek Thompson was his co-author. So he wrote a piece about the Aura Ring and just like this era of tracking all this stuff and like, anyway, kind of a critique of it. And I kind of agree with him. But then he, like one of his one of his sort of threads of his piece was about like how he has an aura ring, and he's kind of like, he's very conflicted about it, and he's kind of addicted to knowing what his sleep score is, and he gets competitive about it a little bit. And so the thesis of the piece was kind of like, this is becoming a new sort of like terrain of status between people. And Ezra Klein, I saw a clip of him, kind of a soundbite of him talking about like with Gary Steingart, just about, this kind of minimizing joy is almost like a status thing, like not drinking, not, eating well, getting enough sleep. And like, on the one hand, it's really good, like it's healthier, but it's taken to this weird status level where it's like people used to brag about, well, I don't have a TV in my house. Like it was sort of a braggy thing, right?
Yeah,
it was like a flex. It's like a flex now to talk about how much sleep you get. Or,
interesting.
Or like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he's just talking about like how there's this side of it that kind of removes the actual joy from things. Like joy is almost stigmatized in a way. Like fun is almost stigmatized in a way, right?
Oh, weird.
Like it's about how much you produce and how much you, how long you're going to live and how, you know what I mean? Like, anyway, so what is your sort of like view of all these sort of like monitors that people have for their sleep and their steps and their calories or whatever?
Yeah, I was one of those people who early on, like I moved to Tucson in 1994, and we lived in the barrio, and there was something called the Midtown Wall, I think it was, where like the transmitter from Mount Lemmon couldn't reach past the buildings into the barrio. So like we just couldn't get any TV channels. And there was I didn't want to pay for cable. So I remember being kind of proud of like, we don't have I just don't have TV. I mean, we had a TV to watch videos, but we couldn't watch TV. And then when the cell phone came out, I was like, dude, I'm not going to get one of those. Like, I don't want, you know what I mean? And I was And I was it was such a good
same. I was the same with the cell phone. Yeah. Like, it was I remember being somewhat the same with the TV. Like when we were in New York, I think but I noticed people using their non-TV, life as a flex, and it like that bothered me enough that I never used it as a flex. Like,
totally. I don't think I used it as a flex.
I don't think you used it as a flex either. But
and with the cell phone, at one point I pointed out, I was like, it's a total luxury that I can say I don't have a cell phone, because a lot of people, their boss is like, hey, I need to contact you. So I felt like I was, in this luxurious place where I could just use email, But anyway, so what I guess the question is,
like about the body, specifically like body tracking.
I like that. when the iPhone added that health section, I was like moderately curious, and a lot of my coworkers had Fitbits and started tracking. And as soon as it became like a thing, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I just was like, I don't know.
I mean, I was building stuff for wearables at one point for my last company, and like we one of the things I worked on, two things that were that used leverage. I hate when people use leverage in that way, but that used wearables. One was a de-stressor kind of thing, where it's basically like we used heart rate variability and some other biometrics to detect when somebody was experiencing acute stress.
Okay.
Right. And so then our product had like things they could do to reduce their stress, like a breathing exercise or whatever, right? Yeah. Like a quick guided breathing. And so like the point was, like, if you are somebody who is prone to having episodes of acute stress, like, it would be a useful thing. And we give you we notify you, like, oh, we notice you're in a stressful moment. Like, why don't you take a 2-minute pause and do a breathing exercise, right? And I think there's some use to that. And I also worked on a sleep thing that was, part of helping to improve people's sleep. So on the one hand, like, I agree that there are benefits to these things, but I agree when it became a thing, when it becomes like, I guess the thing where it crosses the line for me is like, there's a value in metrics like a sleep score or heart rate variability in the sense that they condense information. They filter and condense information down to a number that you can look at and pay attention to on the, like that has value. On the other hand, that's exactly the problem. It takes all this complexity and nuance and it tries to boil it down to like a number. And so I think that's the thing for me. When I see people using those kinds of indicators as like, oh, that's an interesting input to, I see that, you know, like that's a thing. It's an interesting indicator, right?
Yeah.
Versus that's my indicator that I follow. You know what I mean? Like there's a sort of like, it's that flip. It's like if it condenses it filters out all this nuance and condenses it down to a number. And that number has a certain amount of value. But if you worship that number, like if you're competitive about that number, then you've crossed a line where you've just decided that the nuance and complexity just is actually a non-factor. It doesn't matter. Like if you erase it it's erased from that number. But then if you also erase it from your mind, then you've crossed into sort of problem territory. I guess that's sort of where I think about it.
Yeah. It makes me think like, you know, who's it? Tim Ferris that tries to hack his play?
Yeah, he used to do all. In fact, he's still.
I think he still does like a 2-day water fast every month or something.
I like Tim Ferris, like the new Tim Ferris. Like he's a softer version of what he used to be, but he's still very, very, very into like whatever his definition of performance is, like peak performance.
Yeah.
That's still the thing he's really chasing.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like he has his 8 sleep mattress that he advertises on his show, and his tonal workout system, and his Aura ring, and and like he's always advertising all that stuff because he's really into that level of like tracking he's obsessed with like trying to figure out even when he interviews, I like a lot of his guests, but every single guest, the thing he tries to suss out at the beginning of the interview is sort of like, what's the secret to your success? Like he's always asking, like, he always goes through this minute thing, like, what do you do? What's your day look like when you first wake up? All right, then what do you do? Then what do you do? Then what do you do? And and then he'll get into like, well, how is your calendar organized? Right? Like he gets really down in the weeds of like the things, the details he could potentially use to fine tune his own peak performance. So it's like the chasing peak performance thing bothers me actually a little bit. Yeah, but go ahead.
I think I grew out of it. Like when I was, I turned 47 and I was training to climb, and I was able to do, believe it or not, 47 pull-ups. And I thought, kind of in the back of my mind, I thought, yeah, every year I'll just do one more. Like, you know what I mean? Like I can do like 6 now. You know what I mean? I fell off the roof, but I just don't do it. Because, you know, and if I try to train, like I pull my neck.
The strength loss at our age is real.
It's real.
Sure.
It's for
like
sure.
if I used to do push-ups every day, and I don't do them every day like I used to. And one of the reasons, and it's a self-perpetuating problem, because one of the reasons I don't do them is I wasn't able to do as many, and it made me sad. So then I was just like, I guess I just won't do them as much.
Right. It's so funny.
Because now when I do them, it kind of sucks to do them as much. Like I still do them, but
it's not as
but I
fun,
can't do as many. And then I'm like, that's pathetic. And then I don't want to do it the next day because I'm like, yesterday I only did this many. But I know that if I did them every day, I'm actually not convinced. That's why I say the strength loss is real, because I feel like if I did them every day, I'm not convinced that I would actually get back to like what I used to do because I used to be able to do 100 push-ups.
Yeah,
like,
wow, that's good.
You know, and
I bet you could.
You know, again, I'm probably like without resting, I could probably do 25 or 30, maybe 35.
Yeah, wow,
maybe 30.
That's not bad. I mean,
something like that, and I would just be struggling with the last couple of them. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, but what so you were saying.
So I remember when I was 5 years ago, let's say I was in the middle of my 7 years in the corporate wilderness.
Yeah.
One way that I survived that sort of the stress and the sort of boredom of that job was every day at lunch, I would go for a 4-mile run through the desert.
Yeah.
And there was this kind of cool course where like it went behind the hills, and then there was this dirt road that ran along the river, and there was a gate and another gate, and it was exactly 1 mile between the two gates. It was gravel track. So what I would do is, and I had heard my daughter at the time was dating this guy who could run a 5:15 mile.
Okay. Wow.
And my dad said when I was in high school, I ran a 5:15, and I was like, damn it, that's like two, like I had the gauntlet has been thrown. Like when I was a third grader, I was like on track in fifth grade. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna see if what I can do. So I started out, I was doing like sevens if I was hauling ass, like killing myself. And then I had a friend who was a marathoner and another guy that ran, I think he was on the West Point marathon team. And he showed me how to train, like go to the track and do intervals, like sprint for a quarter mile, then jog, then sprint, run up and down the stairs. And I worked my effing ass off for maybe 6 months. And I got stuck at 6:28. And when I was doing that, I was like flat out sprinting, and I couldn't get enough air. Like I was like a fish on the dock, like, and like I just was like pushing myself so hard. And I heard this voice in my head that said, "If you keep running this fast, you're going to die." Like it was like that kind of thing.
And like Jim Fix or whatever.
And I asked my friend, I was like, "What? How come I can't push past 6:28?" And he showed me like some nasty shit where you do those intervals and then you carry bags up and down the stairs at the stadium. And I tried it for like twice. And I was just like, this isn't any fun. This is so
Well, I guess the question I find myself asking with all these peak performance chasing is sort of like, why? Like what? Like if you have a reason, like you're training to, like if you're a Navy SEAL, you need to be that way, right? Like that makes sense. That's your why. Like but in a lot of cases, the why seems like almost like this narcissism. You know what I mean?
Mine was more curiosity.
Like I need to be impressed with myself on this level. Like but you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like, I don't know, this years ago, a meditation teacher that I spent some time with, she was talking about like the reasons for meditating and like, and she went on this sort of riff about like meditation is starting to get really popular, was starting to really take off at that era. And there were a lot of new apps and stuff and Headspace and Calm. And she was kind of saying like the pitch that all these companies are making about meditation, the pitch that all these new meditator kind of gurus are making is about how beneficial meditation is for your mental health and your physical health, right? And she was just like, I fucking hate that. Like, that's fine. Like, but that's not like what meditation is about. Like meditation is about making a better world. And so it's like, it's fine to think about, like, it also has these mental health benefits and physical health. And it's fine to like point to those things specifically, but like not at the total erasure of the whole like other reason for meditating, the main reason for meditating, which is to create a better world. So she was just like, and I guess that's part of what I see with a lot of this peak performance stuff. It just feels like this weird sort of like individual narcissism that is being kind of like encouraged and celebrated. And so that's why I say, what is the why? Like if the why is literally just to be as awesome as you can for yourself, like why? Like that's just, there's a way in which that just feels like narcissism to me.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, and I could be totally, have blinders on about the narcissism part. But for me, like when I was doing it, I wanted to, burn cortisol and adrenalines. And a lot of the solutions for my problems at work, I would come up with on the runs, because no one was emailing me, no one was talking. I didn't have to sit in a morning meeting. I was out there and I just, with plants and like, coyotes and stuff. It's gorgeous. And I also was just curious. I think I was very competitive that my dad and my daughter's boyfriend could do it. And I know I was in my 50s, I guess. I was in my maybe late 40s, 50s. And I was a climber, so I thought like I wanted to train for like hard hikes, like really hard approaches, up by steep hills and stuff.
Right, but see, like what you're pointing to is reasons, right? Like you're pointing to two things. One is the reasons. You wanted to be able to do this thing, like certain kinds of hikes. And number two, like you enjoyed doing it and you got value out of the doing of it. Like you thought you had ideas would come to you and you would feel less stressed. Like, and less stress has positive side effects in all other areas of your life, in all your relationships and stuff, right? Like that is a connected reason to do it, like a reason to do something that's connected to life and the world and other people, and versus the number, right? Like if it was about that, achieving that number, which it was to some degree, but maybe that wasn't the exclusive reason. But like, that's again, going back to like these scores that people have on these apps, right? Like if it's about getting that number a little better, like you wanted to get to that mile number, right? Like if that was your sole pursuit, that's where it feels like a little narcissistic to me. Like, what is the point of that number? Like if the point of the whole enterprise is to, is you have some level to which you just get value out of the doing of it, and it has positive effects that ripple out from you into other areas of your life, like that's perfect. That's great. To me, that's the reason to do things.
Yeah.
And so like if you were pursuing that 5-15 mile or whatever, and you didn't care about anything about that number, and it was just 100% about pursuing that number, that's where I go, well, why? Like, what the fuck is the point of that number? Like what you're doing, the doing of it, to the chasing of that number has no value in the world at all. It's a purely narcissistic pursuit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
but
true.
That wasn't it for you. You had all these other reasons that you just described.
Part of me, and one of the guys I ran with was, as I said, was on the marathon team for West Point. He had been actually a Division I wrestler and got bored and joined the marathon team. And he said he could run 6:15 and then he'd hit a wall at 20 miles and he could never break through the wall. Like he just trained and asked his coaches and had cardio coaches and all these things. And he couldn't, he could run 6:15 for 20 miles and then he just was toast. Then it was like 8 minutes. Yeah. And so I thought that was interesting. I hit this wall where I couldn't get past 6:28. Yeah. And it was just kind of interesting. It's like an arbitrary number. But one thing I was curious about is when the marathoners in the Olympics are running and they're doing 5:02s or something, whatever it is, 26 times, whatever to get 2 hours, they're getting around 2:05 or something. And so what I thought was funny was if I'm sprinting flat out for a mile, I'm flat out sprinting for a mile, they would blow past me for 26 miles.
For 26 miles.
And I just kind of mind-boggling to think
it's mind-blowing.
They would just sprint, like I'm running as fast as I can for 1 mile and I can't keep up with them for 1 mile. Like, what the fuck? It's crazy.
It's nuts. Yeah. Or you hear, like I had a friend here who just did an Ironman, or like last year he did an Ironman. Wow. And then the idea of an Ironman is nuts to me. Like where I think that it starts with a 2-mile swim, I think.
Wow, that's a lot of.
And then it's a 120-mile bike ride.
Wow.
And then it ends with a full marathon.
Full marathon, yeah.
So you end with a 26.2 run.
Wow.
I went sailing with a guy some years ago. He was on just like I used to go sailing with this group of gay dudes. They called me the token breeder on the boat.
Funny.
They were all gay men, and it was me, like the one straight guy. Anyway, so I used to go sailing with this group of guys on a regular basis because I had a friend that was part of this group, and he invited me. And one of them had done an Ironman. He had just finished. I had only met him, and he had only done it like a week earlier, and he was a slightly pudgy guy, like not pudgy, but like he had a little bit of a spare tire, and he didn't have a lot of muscle tone, right? Like, and he was like, yeah, one of the reasons I started training for the Ironman is I wanted to get rid of all this. Like I wanted to be in like tip-top fit, like ripped, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, but the thing about, he's like, I just chose the wrong thing to train for, because the thing about doing an Ironman is you have to eat so much.
Right.
Even while you're doing it. He was describing, he said, the way you do it is you do the swim, and then you get on your bike. And then while you're riding your bike, that 120 miles, which takes some hours or whatever, he says you have to eat so much while you're riding your bike in order to be able to have energy for the marathon. So you're just shoving calories in yourself that you're not hungry at all.
Wow.
And he was just like, it's the most miserable thing. You're just like stuffing your body with high energy calories so that you can do the marathon. He said, I could just remember being on my bike at like mile 100, like my stomach is full and I'm still need to eat more.
Wow.
You know, because I have 30 minutes or more of riding and that's just enough to digest it so that I can run the marathon or whatever. It's just like, ooh, that sounds miserable.
I was fascinated with this guy. He was from San Francisco, Dean Karnazes. He's an ultra runner.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah.
The ultimate marathon runner who does these like 100-mile runs and shit.
He would say how, just like shit, like he would have super glue in his pocket, and he would just stop and pop his blisters and rub the super glue on them, and then start running again. And then he said that he would have people bring him. Oh, these are like ultras, like I don't know how far, 100 miles. He would have people bring him like a pepperoni pizza. And he would just eat the pepperoni pizza. Like,
wasn't there running. Like there was a time when he did like a marathon a day?
Well, he did 50 in each state.
Yeah.
And when he was done, he decided to do a stunt where he ran back home from New York to San Francisco. But I mean, he had like a team, like a support team, and I think he could sleep in a, but he basically
I started walking to work because of like an ultra marathoner guy who came to talk at Salesforce one time. And I went to his little talk and he was talking to, somebody asked him like, how did you, like when you decided to train, like what did your training look like at the beginning? And he's like, oh yeah. He goes, I used to live in Potrero Hill. I was like, oh, I live in Potrero Hill, right? Yeah. And then he goes, and I worked here, right? Like in the downtown area. And he said, I just, like my first thing I did was I was sitting there waiting for the bus. I would take the bus and it would take me about 40, like walk to the bus stop, ride the bus, walk from the bus stop to my, my workstation here. It took about 45 minutes, like every day. And he was like, one day the bus was taking a little longer and I just started walking and the walk to work took about like 35 minutes.
Wow.
So he was just like, I'm just going to walk to work. It's actually
great.
faster.
Faster.
And he's like, I just walked to work every day. And walked home. And that was like my first training. And I was like, shit. And so I was like, that's what I did. I started walking to Salesforce. It was about 3.25 miles or something. And, I would walk along the water. I would walk a little bit of a scenic route, so it was a little bit longer, but I'd walk along the waterfront, and it was just such a glorious, enjoyable thing. Like that walk to me became a great pleasure. It took, for me, it took about 45 minutes because I wasn't going the most direct route, but still, like I got this beautiful waterfront walk every single day. And then I walk home and I had the long uphill at the end of my walk, which was sort of my sprint, right? Like I was at the end of my 3 miles. It was only walking, like I wasn't running, but still I would always get to my neighborhood and be like, why is the last thing I have to do like a half mile uphill?
That was my 4 mile run at work. The last part was uphill for a mile. And it was so disheartening, because you're just kind of like, come on, man. If it was at the beginning, I'd be all warmed up. But now I'm just like, I hate this,
It's funny, when I run now, like I like uphills more than I like downhills.
Really?
Like I don't like how downhill, like I'm old man now. And so it's like, there's something
knees.
about like the knees and the way my body fat, like thunders up and down as I run downhill. I don't like it.
I was actually staying with you once, and I went out for a run on those hills. I guess if you get to the top of your first little hill and make a right, there's a steep hill. And I was running up there, and it was the end of my run, so I was exhausted. And I was sort of doing that thing where you just kind of shuffle along to keep moving. And this old woman came out of her house with like a grocery cart.
Oh no.
And she just walked past me up the hill.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like I was like running, but I was sort of shuffling, just trying to keep my feet moving.
There's a lot of oldsters around here that like, I'll see them huffing it up a hill on their bike. And I'm like, damn, like some good,
When we went out, you and I went out on those.
You.
We went out on those the scooters. Remember those electric scooters? Coming up the hill, mine burned out. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah,
the motor on mine just started smoking, and it was like, and then it stopped.
I've had the battery die in that situation. For sure.
I think I burned out the belt of the motor. So
That's funny.
It's so steep.
I had an experience like your old lady with the grocery cart experience, a little bit similar, ego blast, because this is a few years ago, and I was at church with my family. It was like a Christmas church service in our neighborhood. I don't go to church that often, but Christmas and holidays. So I'm at church. My son was a baby at the time. He was probably, maybe 3 months old. And there was standing room only in the church. So we got there, and I'm standing there with him, kind of behind all the pews at the edge of the, sort of along the wall. And on the other side of the room, there was this little Asian woman who was probably 5 feet tall, weighed probably 75 pounds. She was like thin and petite. And she had a baby that was bigger than Dylan was at the time. And she was holding that baby in one arm, and I was holding Dylan in one arm. And my arm was getting tired. I'm sitting there like,
totally,
and my feet were getting a little sore just from standing so much. And I'm kind of keep glancing at this woman like, was she going to change arms, change positions, shuffle, readjust her? And she just didn't move. Like she was just stone still holding this kid that was bigger than my son, and just never moved. And I was determined to just like, all right, I'm going to not move too. My arm was burning.
Wow.
And I was just like, dude.
That I just bought for my camera. I bought this thing called the Babamore. It's like a little hip seat.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's a belt that you put on, and then there's a little kind of it's probably about this big, and it's a padded bump that sticks out, kind of perpendicular to the ground or parallel to the ground, and I'm amazed by like both my daughters have little kids, little babies. I'm amazed by all the tech. Like what you're describing there, you could have all you had to do is keep him balanced. You didn't have to support his weight.
And I know there was like I was new at the technique because I know like there's ways to optimize like using your hip and stuff. Yeah. And there was probably some technique involved, not just pure raw strength.
When I used to do that technique, I would throw out my lumbar vertebrae. I would need a chiropractor. No, really, because I would stick my hip out and hold the kid, and then I'd be like, oh, I tweaked my lumbar, and I was a yoga teacher. It was embarrassing.
Yeah.
So I do remember that. And actually what I went to, do you remember Marie Hansen?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Marie Hansen, the Russian lady that my brother went to a lot. Yeah.
So she
had the crystal,
the
magic crystal that she would jab you with.
I said my acupuncturist, Uli Storsnickel, is also German, and she went on this tirade. Like she became visibly like very angry. She's from Alsace-Lorraine.
Oh.
And so she said, we have been invaded by the Germans and the French. They think that. And I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. Like, I'm really sorry. Like she's from Alsace-Lorraine, and that's like a super, super sensitive topic.
That's funny.
So being Russian she's Russian is probably better than German, or I said German, Anyway, I was complaining about my back going out because of holding the baby. And she goes, let them walk. And I was like, what? And she goes, let them walk. And I was like, let them walk. Like she's like, just make them walk. And I was like, that's a simple solution.
That's funny. It is funny. Like once in a while, you'll see somebody pushing a stroller with a kid that looks like they're 4 years old or something. And you're like, come on. And like sometimes maybe that kid's disabled or something. That's one thing. But like sometimes it seems pretty obvious that it's not a disabled kid. Like they're just on their phone,
to be someone who insisted on world traveling with little kids. When I was married to my first wife, I will say that we would bring the stroller in the city.
Oh yeah,
in the city, it's nice to have a place where they can just like rest.
I don't judge people at all for that because I'm the same way. Because like I've been to like if you've ever been to like Disneyland or something, and you're walking, and it's just like. Your kid gets halfway through the day and they're just like, I don't want to go home. And you're like, I want to do we paid for the day, right? Like, like I get it. You got to work. Yeah, you got to work with this stuff when you're a parent. All right, we're like. Sorry, go ahead.
We're getting close to time, but I love that we're just weaving all over the place. But have you ever done this? This reminded me of totally like this sort of the DNA of this podcast is like to just go with the flow. So
I think we had a theme this time, but
that reminded me of when I pay to go snowboarding.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm.
and I'm like exhausted. And at the end of the day, and I'm like, they're like, there's room for, the guy says like, there's room for one more run. And I'm always like, I'm going to do it. And then as I come down the hill, my legs turn to jelly and I just wipe out like 3 times in a row. And they're like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, I can't, my legs are just toast.
I've been doing this since 8 a.m. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. It's funny. I used to do that. Like we always drive up to the Tahoe from here, like we get up at 4 a.m, right, and drive up, and you pay for the lift ticket. And same thing. It's like you've done the all day drive. You've done the early dawn drive, and then you're at the mountain right when it opens, and then you board all day long, and you till the sun is going down, right, and they close it, and you're just done. You're just roasted at that point. But I think that we go to this mountain with the kids, and it's got like 3 ski runs on it. It's like just tiny little mountain. But for the kids, the lift tickets are $35 a day. And like the neighboring mountains, the big ones, it's like $175 a day. Now,
for the
lift
kids.
Tickets are crazy.
Wow.
And so at some point, my kids will graduate from this tiny little hill. But that's one of the best things about it is that you go there, and if you are done, if you just feel done at lunchtime, it's like you don't feel bad about it at all because you spent $35.
Yeah.
Right.
Probably like $2 a run or something. It's like
or
cheap.
If the weather changes and it's like windy and you're like, oh, it's way too cold on the lifts now or whatever. It's like, we can just go.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like that pressure to like, I need to get my money's worth, because I remember that big time. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Well, I have one
we
more.
We should call it, but I do have a closing thing. But go ahead.
And I do too. Remember how you're talking about the wearables? So I went to the doctor last week. Went to the doctor last week, and my wife needed to work in the lobby, and there was no Wi-Fi. So she said, "Can I use your hotspot? I have a hotspot." So I said, "Sure." And when it was my turn to go back, I said, "Just keep my phone." And I said, I went in the back and I had a pencil and a pen and paper. And I sat there in this white room all by myself for like 15 minutes, and I just started writing, like really cool, fun stuff for art projects. And I was like, I felt a little bit like, this is what occurred to me that night was, do you remember in Fahrenheit 451, how the wife of the fire